Welcome back to the Stash. Throughout the decades, our lovable web-slinger the Amazing Spider-Man has had his fair share of women. Since Stan Lee wanted to make a teenage hero with normal everyday issues and hang-ups, it was only common sense for him to have girl problems. In fact, it started with one of the oldest Spider-Man characters around, first appearing in the Amazing Fantasy issue 15, Liz Allen. However, nothing really developed between the two, unlike in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. His first love was J. Jonah Jameson's assistant, Betty Brant. They met at the Bugle and by issue 9 of ASM were a thing until the arrival of another beautiful, mysterious woman. That person being his future wife, Mary Jane Watson. Now, at the start of their relationship, they went on a few dates, however MJ's lifestyle was a bit too much for Peter, causing them to go their separate ways and just to stay as friends. This obviously changed down the line, but that's for another video. One of the most important women in his life, Gwen Stacy, had always had some form of an impact on poor old Petey. From when they first met at ESU in issue 31 of The Amazing Spider-Man, when they officially started dating in issue 53. Their relationship continued to blossom and they planned for a long life together. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be, as Gwen Stacy was tragically killed during a huge epic battle between Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, in Turning Point and the night Gwen Stacy died. But there was one woman who Peter Parker would always find himself coming back to, and that was Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. But before we get into that, I wanted to thank everyone for the incredible support as of late on my channel. I seriously can't believe the growth we've been showing. I'm so thankful for 750 subscribers. I can't believe it. But if you're new around here, feel free to stick around and maybe hit that subscribe button, as we're now trying to reach 800 subscribers. And with your support, I know we can do it. And with that being said, let's get straight back into the video. A few honorable mentions of the women in Pete's life around the late 70s are the forgotten Priscilla Ironwood and Deborah Whitman, whose mental health probably could have done without knowing Spider-Man. But anyway, back to the topic. Felicia Hardy is probably one of the most interesting characters within the Spider-Man mythos. Over the decades, her character has shown such good depth and progression that she's easily become one of my favorite side characters. And by looking at the title, you can see that today, we're going to go all the way back to her very first meeting with the Wallcrawler and take a look at the Amazing Spider-Man issues 194 and 195. Right off the bat, Marv Wolfman delivers the perfect introduction for Miss Hardy. It gives us a real feel of how mysterious she is, mixed with a hint of danger. Who is this mystery woman scurrying with cat-like grace across a precariously thin strand of wire? Why is she here, above police headquarters? What is she after? You'll learn soon enough, but for now be content with the following warning. Never let the Black Cat cross your path. Felicia carefully yet elegantly crosses the thin wire into the building where she steals files. Through her inner monologue, we discover she's been training for this exact moment for almost 2 years. In fact, she's continuously trained her body so she could be performing at her peak. After checking the files and confirming it's the ones she was after, she tosses them into the night's cool wind as they fly away. Her intentions, however, still unknown. Elsewhere, 2 men are doing a heist of their own. As they slowly steal tires, they are interrupted by the Black Cat herself. She makes light work of the man in charge and the other named Bruno. The boss runs away in fear and leaves Bruno for the Black Cat. She inquires about a new partnership between the two of them with a strange and mysterious glow around her eyes. At first, Bruno is confused at the idea of working for a broad, but agrees. We switch scenes as we enter a top-secret military base within the South Shore of Long Island. It's a night for heist as a certain Dr. Boris Korpse, a master scientist and demolitions expert, is seen near a vault after getting through the base's security codes. But alas, his glory is seeming to be short-lived as a Black Cat gives him the shock of his life. Now after this, the book then switches over to its other story to do with Peter, Aunt May, Mysterio, and the man who killed Uncle Ben. However, that's not really relevant to the Black Cat now, is it? Later on, as Spider-Man swings around the city, he feels his spider sense ever so slightly go off. As each second goes by, the tingle gets stronger until he locates the Black Cat roaming around New York. Peter is puzzled at this new face as well as to why she makes his spider sense go off. He decides it's best to keep an eye on her, and he also thinks to himself, if she's one of the good guys, then maybe they could go on a date. Little does he know of the history they will later share. She leads Spidey into a warehouse and Spider-Man makes sure he's out of sight as he continues to watch what is about to unfold. Felicia has a meeting with an arms dealer for plenty of weapons. As soon as old Webhead hears what's going on, he introduces himself to the room. Black Cat displays incredible agility as she's able to not only outmaneuver Spider-Man but also able to land several attacks. Suddenly, shells of guns fall down on Spidey, and some would say it was a bit of bad luck. This allows Cat a moment to complete the deal and make her escape. Of course, the shelf of guns wouldn't keep Spidey out for long as he interferes with Black Cat's plans once again. Oddly, Felicia says that she surrenders and confesses a long admiration for the wall crawler as she slowly pulls up his mask and they share a passionate kiss. Spider-Man, in complete shock, stands there trying to process what just happened as the Black Cat makes her escape. Later, back at her hideout, we discover she's created a small trio with Bruno and the man from the base. Both are still confused as to why they were even brought together for in the first place, and also why they need such heavy ammunition. Felicia simply informs them that she's going to break into a prison, and they're going to help her do it. Now, around this time in the comics, Peter had actually left the Bugle to instead go and join the Daily Globe, and while in his office, the news report captures his attention. And today, the police finally revealed their downtown headquarters was burglarized the other night. The only thing found missing were 4 files. 2 belong to ex-convict Bruno Granger and Dr. Boris Korpse, both of whom cannot be found. A 3rd file belonged to Walter Hardy, the famed 1950s cat burglar who is still serving out his prison sentence. While the 4th belonged to Emil Grieco, an illegal arms supplier coincidentally captured today by the masked adventurer known as Spider-Man. Without a second thought, Spider-Man quickly rushes over to the jail to try to find Walter Hardy, hoping the Black Cat hasn't already gotten to him. Suddenly, an attack from behind by the Black Cat sends Spidey to the ground. He leaps into the air as a fight erupts between the two. While they tussle, Felicia's henchmen are put to good use as they attempt to free Walter from his cell. The issue ends with an explosive from the breakout destroying the wall while also catching Spider-Man, leaving him brutalized with rubble surrounding him. It was at this moment the Black Cat had truly crossed his path. It is now time for us to move on to issue 195, where we kick off right where we left off last issue. Spider-Man lays still filled with excruciating pain as the Black Cat makes her escape, successfully pulling off the Walter Hardy breakout. As Spider-Man tries to get free from the rubble, the pain becomes even more unbearable, with the wall crawler fearing his arm may be broken. He gathers all his courage, all his might for one single gargantuan effort, and similar to If This Be My Destiny, he frees himself from the debris. Meanwhile, across town, Bruno and Boris fulfill their purpose after the successful job and go off while the cat takes Hardy away. Walter, still very confused at the entire situation, asks for answers, yet is left with suspense. As Cat carefully goes along a thin wire, it is unable to support both of their weights combined, causing it to snap. Luckily, Felicia is able to perfectly shift her weight for a safe balanced fall, a move Walter had thought only he had mastered. Felicia acknowledges his days as the greatest cat burglar as she takes him to his old house, which only leaves poor old Walter even more confused about what's happening. As Black Cat allows him to lay down and finally rest, she explains that she's doing this so he can pass away with his family. This really got to Walter. He questioned how she knew about that, for her to reply with that she knows everything about him. In fact, she modeled herself entirely after him. She slowly removes her mask with a hint of sadness. Walter hadn't recognized her voice. To his shock, it's his own precious daughter. She continues to explain, and thus we learn the origin of the Black Cat. She studied everything there is to know about her father. She trained in martial arts as well as gymnastics, the tricks of burglary as well, and much, much more. It took years, but she finally perfected all her dad's old moves and tricks. She leaves the room to gather her mother, with her father's cries falling on deaf ears. He tries to tell her that he never wanted her to fall into this line of work. He didn't want her to be tainted by evil like he was. Walter and his wife are reunited at last, and Felicia decides to go outside so they can have some time to talk to each other. But completely unexpected to Felicia, she's met by a certain wall crawler. The cat and the spider fight among many rooftops, and finally Black Cat's mysterious bad luck effect finally catches up with her. Causing Spider-Man to be unbalanced, he tumbles backwards as she leaps in for the attack, leading to both of them plunging straight down into the rocky waters. Spidey manages to grab a hold onto the house to stop his fall, as well as miraculously catching Felicia mid-air. Unfortunately for her though, it was his severely injured arm. The pain becomes unbearable to the point of almost blacking out. Felicia assures him he did his best as he slowly loses his grip, causing her to fall down below. What seemed like to be the end of the Black Cat, however, was just the very beginning. Spidey goes back to the house where he finds Hardy's wife sobbing over his still, yet very peaceful body. Well, Cat, you wanted your father to die at home. You got your wish. Heaven help us all. You got your wish. But that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'd love to hear what you guys thought of this different style video. Down below in the comments section, feel free to leave a comment. We can start a conversation. This was actually requested by a very lovely viewer of mine, so thank you for the idea. I'd love to expand even more within the lore of Blackcat and maybe dive further into their relationship, as well as just Spidey lore in general. Feel free to like and subscribe because here any support means so much, and be sure to tune in next time for more content, same web time, same web channel. Thank you guys again for watching and see you in the next one.